just exactly what I'll do. I'm loving, baby, but I gotta find a way to breathe. Tell me what I gotta do to get to your house. Tell me where I gotta go to be with you. Tell me what I gotta say to speak to your heart. Tell me what I need to know tonight.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel.
We will not be held responsible for any accidents.
It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Well, it's not Rufus Williams. It's Abdul Hakim Shabazz. Good morning, folks. Always a pleasure to be here.
Get in on the conversation with Rufus Williams and the Morning Show at 591-1690. We are the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
You think after doing this for almost 8 million years, we remember when to start. Good morning, folks. Always good to be here. It is Abdul Hakim Shabazz in for Rufus Williams this morning. You're on the Talk of Chicago Voice Nation, 1690 WVON, coming to you from the Fortress of Solitude in Indianapolis, Indiana. If I may use a Superman analogy here, my life is basically a giant triangle. It's Chicago, Springfield, Illinois, Indianapolis, Indiana. Chicago would be Krypton. Springfield would be Smallville. Indianapolis would be Metropolis in the Superman universe. And of course, also got St. Louis, which is Gotham City. DeKalb, Illinois, or actually Munich, Germany, which would be the bottle city of Candor. Okay, sorry about that. I'm getting total dork here. Good morning, folks. Always good to be here. 773-591-1690 is the phone number. Lots of stuff to talk about today. And for Rufus today, Monday and Tuesday of next week. So you guys got me for the next 3 days and change. And I may be here Wednesday. I'm not sure yet. But I basically blocked everything out to be with you folks until Wednesday of next week. So if you're excited to hear me, thank you. If you're not excited to hear me, well, that's kind of not my problem. We will have a good show over the course of the next few days. Obviously, with the NAACP in town in Chicago for their annual convention, we'll talk about the NAACP and their mission. And has the mission of the NAACP adapted to the times? Because I will argue, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, true empowerment is economic empowerment. It's the old line from the Jeffersons when they were at Lionel and Jenny's wedding, and it was when the Jeffersons were still part of All in the Family. And Archie Bunker tells George Jefferson, "Hey Jefferson, it must be kind of weird having a white guy wait on you." And George Jefferson had the best line, which I'll always remember. It's like as long as there's enough green, I can be as black as I want to be. Exactly. Get enough green, you can cover your black. But that was the Jeffersons also 50 years ago. So we'll talk about that. So the NAACP and economic empowerment a little bit later today. But right now, though, I'm in basically a Facebook social media fight. I don't know why I get myself involved in these things. By the way, you can follow me on Twitter at ATTY Abdul, also at 1690 WVON. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn and X. Max out on friend followers. On friends, but you can follow me. Either at Abdul Hakim Shabazz or Abdul at large. One of the two. But I'm in a fight with some knuckleheads over Donald Trump and him calling for ABC and NBC News to lose their licenses because they didn't cover his speech live. I was like, really? Seriously? There was a speech about the election integrity and election was stolen. So everything was fine in 2016 when you won. In 2024 when you won, it was just 2020. Okay, yeah, whatever, Mr. President. And it is very rare. Because Donald Trump kind of reminds me of my drunk uncle at Thanksgiving. Okay, what stupid, crazy thing is he going to say that's going to get my mom all worked up and you have to calm everything down? I just kind of do my ultimate eye roll. But this one, when he said, that CBS and ABC or NBC should lose their licenses because they didn't cover speech. I was like, really, Mr. President? You've got to be kidding me. You cannot be serious. Because first of all, the networks don't have licenses. That's not how this system works. The networks don't have a license. The stations that broadcast networks have a license. So whether it's Channel 5, WQ in Chicago, or WLS in Chicago, or KMOV in Seattle, or KMOV in St. Louis, or Wish TV, WIHS TV here in Indianapolis. No, it's the individual stations that have the license, Mr. President, not the networks. That's kind of point number one. And point number two, you're going to say they should lose their license because they didn't carry your speech. Well, they did carry your speech. It just didn't carry it on broadcast channel. It was streamed on networks, the whole 9 yards. That's kind of point number one. Point number two, there are several channels that basically cover the president, door to door. It's called C-SPAN. Ta-da! So I was on C-SPAN a few years ago. Doing a thing at the Detroit Athletic Club with a gentleman by the name of Gary Johnson, who was a libertarian candidate for president. No, not libertarian. He was running an independent bid to get on president, and almost had a chance of winning too. But that's neither here nor there. So the president says that the station should lose their license because they didn't carry his speech. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to talk to you about your TPS report. So we'll talk about that on the program today and just how silly that is and ridiculous. And speaking of election integrity and people not being on the ballot and fake people, not non-citizens voting, I've got a story for you folks, probably doing the next hour around 7:30 this morning. It's a story out of Indianapolis involving the Secretary of State, a gentleman by the name of Diego Morales, who is a legal resident, is a Guatemalan citizen naturalized, was part of the whole Donald Trump MAGA non-citizens voting, and it turns out his chief of staff, or one of his chiefs of staff, was a non-citizen who tried to vote in an election. I'm not making this up. Broke the story a few months ago, and this kind of led to him losing his renomination bid at a state convention. If there were Pulitzer Prizes for muckraking, I should get it, particularly for that one. So hopefully I won't be like the Susan Lucci of the Emmy Awards anymore. Hopefully I get my Emmy. They like me. They really like me. So we'll talk about that and some other things too. You guys know the number. 591-1690 is the phone number. At ATTY Abdul is my Twitter account. Or at 1690 WON. So we got lots of stuff on the program today. And looking forward to your conversations. So Jim, Amadi, Brother Hall, all you folks out here every time I stream WV in the background when I'm working home. Either that or Monterey Alternative Music or 107.7 The End out of Seattle or Q101 out of Chicago. But we're doing my talk radio. WVON is my station, and it should be yours too. It's Abdul and for Rufus Williams. We'll be right back and get this show started.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This Saturday, be a part of a conversation that matters. Join the Rainbow Push Coalition for a special Saturday morning forum featuring an exclusive fireside chat with Derek Johnson, President and CEO of the NAACP. As the NAACP National Convention comes to Chicago, hear an important discussion on civil rights, the future of democracy, and the work still ahead to build a more just America. Breakfast and networking begins at 8:30 a.m. with a live program at 10 a.m. at Rainbow Push headquarters, 930 East 50th Street in Chicago. Or watch on Facebook, YouTube, or the Word Network. Together, we push forward.
Keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
She's been the gospel soundtrack to our Sunday mornings, a friend to the community, and at WVON, she's family. Join Mayor Brandon Johnson, DCASE, the Chicago Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, as they celebrate Chicago's gospel sister, Pam Morris Walton, during the Chicago Gospel Music Festival on Saturday, July 25th in Millennium Park. Come help us honor a woman who has spent her life lifting up others through faith, music, and service. Legends deserve their flowers, and after 4 decades of being a minister of gospel music in Chicago, it's Chicago's turn to celebrate a living legend. It's Pam Morris Day at the Chicago Gospel Music Festival, Saturday, July 25th. We'll see you at the Gospel Fest. Again, July 25th.
It's the afternoon show.
Well, you got to remember, when we do it, it's called flued out.
We flew him.
Girl, he flew me out.
Oh, my. Don't, why are you putting my people down?
No, that's what we call it. That's what it is.
Out. You've had this conversation with someone.
I flew people out.
You flew people? I mean, flown people out? Now you got me saying.
If somebody telling me you flew me out, no, I'm not flying you nowhere after you just said that. I'm not.
He said I was about to until you said that.
Right.
The afternoon show on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. Every Sunday, now you'll be able to listen to the First Church of Deliverance here on 1690 WVON and on the iHeartRadio app at 11 p.m. Tune in for inspirational music, powerful word, and a blessing from the Lord. That's the First Church of Deliverance, Sundays at 11 p.m. right here on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. Follow us at fcdchicago.org.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
WVON traffic and weather now.
We're off to a normal Friday. A quiet start to your roadway travels as you make your way along the Ryan. Just about 17 minutes from 95th Street into downtown. Outbound things are pretty quiet. Still nice and light along the Bishop Ford and Tuskegee Airmen Memorial. DuSable Lakeshore Drive moving well in both directions. If you're on the Stevenson, you're looking at just a 35-minute trip from I-355 to DuSable Drive, pretty much 35 traveling out. The Eisenhower, not bad at all. You're looking there at just about 40 minutes from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, 40 on the return trip. And the Kennedy moving well. There are no problems or delays to report at this time. Taking a look at our weather, an air quality alert remains in effect. That smoke from the wildfires all the way from Canada still blanketing our area and instructing our making our skylines disappear out there. The National Weather Service says today's air quality is worse than yesterday. Temperatures, though, are expected to climb into the 80s. We're looking at a daytime high of 89, tonight 74. And right now, you want to mix in some fog with all that smoke. It's 78 degrees right now at Midway. It's 78 at Rainbow Beach and 78 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flanoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel.
We will not be held responsible for any accidents.
It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Welcome back, folks. It's Abdul Hakim Shabazz in for Rufus Williams this morning. Here on 1690 WVON. 773-591-1690 is a number. During the break, I am in a, let's see, how can I say this? Not necessarily a Twitter war. It's more like a social media skirmish between me and the nut jobs. Now, granted, I'm a firm believer that, hey, this is America. You can support who you want for president, those you want for president. I will never take that away from you. It is your God-given right to bitch and complain about this country. However, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. We got these knuckleheads, or Trumpanzees, as I call them, or Trumpanistas, take your pick, who are saying that ABC News and NBC should lose their licenses because they had the audacity, the unmitigated gall, to not run the president's speech on election fraud live on broadcast television. They did stream it on their YouTube channels and on their websites and the whole 9 yards. But they're saying that these networks lose their broadcast license because they didn't run the president's speech. They fully agree with him. Well, there's a couple things wrong with that. And this is where I got to put on my lawyer hat and my broadcaster hat. 20 years lawyer, 30 years broadcaster. Actually, more like 22 and 32, but you guys get the point. And basically tell people ABC does not have a broadcast license. NBC does not have a broadcast license. They are a network. They have affiliates. And the affiliate TV stations are the ones with the broadcast licenses. ABC does not have a broadcast license. WLS Television Chicago does. NBC does not have a broadcast license, but WMAQ in Chicago does. CBS doesn't have a broadcast license, but guess what? WBBM, they've got a broadcast license. So if you're going to revoke the licenses of the networks, you can't do that. You would have to revoke the licenses of the actual physical television stations. And good luck with that. It takes years to revoke a license. It really does. And by the way, this has nothing to do with cable television, by the way. Fox, MSNBC, CNN, cable is not regulated by the FCC in the traditional sense because they're not terrestrial broadcast physical places. They're cable TV. And the FCC monitors the airwaves. Cable is not an airwave. That's why it's called cable television. Ta-da! Hate to be the bad guy here to bring this up, but that is kind of what it is. So I'm on Facebook and Twitter, ATTY Abdul 1690 WVON, by the way, arguing with people. And I take that back. No, it's not really arguing with people as much as it is point out why they're wrong and why I'm right. It's like, no, that's not true. No, that's not true. Nope, that's not true. Then every once in a while, I have to deal with these knuckleheads, but I do with the lovely Mrs. Shabazz. Because first of all, my wife is always right. Number one. I learned that a long time ago. And if I think my wife is wrong, I should refer back to rule number one. My wife is correct. So what I have to do, when my wife and I have our little, kind of policy disagreements, not that, honey, you left toothpaste on the bathroom mirror when you brush your teeth, get off of there. Or don't drink out the milk jug. Sorry. My guy. I'll say, honey, yeah, but. Or I can do like a way I do sort of a cross-examination. Like, hey, honey, let's assume that your basic premise is correct. So let's assume this is true, okay? It's like, yeah, okay. If this is true, then this has to be true, right? Because we're just following the logical progression. Like, right? Yeah, well, yeah. If that's true, then this is true. And then she'll kind of get this look in her eye like, well, yeah. So if that's true, then this is true. Like, yeah, but like, no buts, dear, no buts. If this is true, and this is true, and this is true, then the logical result must be, and then I end up on the floor with a knot on my head because my wife hit me with an iron again. At least this time I saw it coming. See what I mean, folks? I argue with my lovely wife all day long. My wife is kind of hot. But the knuckleheads in the Twitterverse, in the Facebook zoo, it's like, really? Seriously? And then I look at my watch like, oh, God, it's like, I got to put a radio show together. Oh, 7:30 your time. I can't argue with these. I'll argue with these knuckleheads during the break. And here's the even more fun part. If I don't feel like using brain cells to argue with him, let's say, Claude, hey, chat, hey, Gemini, do me a favor. Respond to this idiot and throw an extra snark if you could. Thank you, bam. Then I go back to put together a radio show. Because some of these idiots, folks, are not worth the brain power. They are not. But you guys are worth the brain power. And the thoughtful conversation. That's why I love doing this. This for like 13-something odd years now. Kind of weird. But like I said, I'll keep coming back as long as they'll keep having me. So, with that said, when we come back, I got a story for you folks about election integrity. Because remember, the president said he got these non-citizens voting to clean the voter rolls and blah, 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 and voting machines. We had a situation here in Indiana recently. Story I broke. You can find it on my website. It's called indypolitics.org. Just type in voting. Just type in Diego Morales. Diego Morales. Diego Morales. Diego Morales is Indiana's Secretary of State. Nationalized citizen, Guatemalan. Interesting story. Came here with clothes on his back, became a citizen, blah, 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 blah. And he was part of that MAGA non-citizens voting crap. And so they passed a bunch of laws to stop non-citizens from voting. And it turns out his deputy chief of staff, who oversees elections in Indiana, guess what she was? A non-citizen. Yeah. We explained all. It's an interesting story. Like I said, normally it's not something I talk about here at WVON, but it's a fun story nonetheless. It's an interesting story that I got to share. So we'll talk about that when we get back. 773-591-69 is phone number. It is Abdul and for Rufus Williams. It is 7:31. We'll be right back. Going to get some more coffee. My friend. I'll be
Hazy
right back.
and foggy this morning as temperatures climb into the upper 80s. Good morning. I'm in Illinois, and here's what's happening. An air quality alert remains in our area today. Right now, we're seeing some thick, hazy fog still hovering across the city. Health officials are cautioning not only those with respiratory challenges, but all people to limit outdoor activity as much as possible. Now, they say that's because of the tiny particulate matter and recommend that folks go into their old COVID supply and pull out those N95 masks, especially if you have to be or work outside. You can actually see it and smell it, the smoke that's coming from those raging fires all the way down from Canada. WVON's Kayla Patton went out to find out how Chicagoans are coping.
The National Weather Service has placed Chicago under an air quality alert due to unhealthy ozone and wildfire smoke levels. This alert comes as smoke from wildfires in Canada drifts into the area. When traveling throughout downtown Chicago, smoke from the wildfires can be seen. I took to the streets to see how Chicagoans are navigating this haze.
You say you're from Rockford and it's worse there. So tell me a little bit about that.
You can hardly see. Like I said, about 12 miles ahead, you can't see that because it's really dark. So I don't know what they're going to do about it.
Are you concerned at all for your health or anything like that, or your family's health?
Well, yes, because, this is not good. We have to take it in consideration. We don't know what the government can do to assist us.
It's already hot and humid here in Chicago. How is the haziness and the smokiness making you feel? Are you concerned at all for your health?
I do have asthma. Something similar to this has happened before because we're so close to Canada or whatever. So I'm just really going on with my day.
The alert is expected to be extended through tomorrow afternoon. Health experts are advising folks to avoid strenuous outdoor activities and stay indoors. Kayla Patton, Our News Now, 1690 WVON.
Yesterday, some beaches were closed, Six Flags shut down, and Chicago Fire Game was canceled. Also, Chicago Park districts moved their outdoor activities inside. Well, later this morning, leaders at St. Sabina Church will address accusations of sex abuse against their senior pastor, Father Michael Flager. Earlier this week, Flager was removed from the pulpit and is living away from the parish while the Archdiocese of Chicago investigates. A woman says she was abused 30 years ago while a student. St. Sabina's leaders are set to address what they call the mishandling of the accusations. In a statement, Father Flager calls the allegations an absolute lie. Well, a bill to reform auto insurance is awaiting the governor's signature. Secretary of State Alexi Giannoulias is behind the bill. He says it will give Illinois regulators and the authority to review and challenge excessive insurance rate increases.
When signed, this legislation will finally bring long overdue transparency, accountability, and consumer protection to Illinois' insurance marketplace.
He went on to say that it will protect drivers from unfair rate hikes and ban insurance companies from upping premiums by more than 10% and with a 30-day notice before renewal date. And funeral services for George E. Johnson will begin at 11 this morning at Trinity United Church of Christ on West 95th Street. The church will live stream the services on his website. Hundreds were at the visitation at Leak & Sons Funeral Home on Cottage. George E. Johnson was a Chicago business giant. He founded Johnson Products on Chicago's South Side in 1954 and turned it into a multi-million-dollar business that made Afro Sheen a household name. In 1971, Johnson Products became the first Black-owned business to be listed on the American Stock Exchange. He died on July 6. He was 99. That's a look at our news now on 1690 WVON. Traffic and weather up next. WVO News Time, 7:35.
Tuned in to your favorite WVON personalities on Facebook Live? Don't just watch, like it, love it, share it. Every click helps us grow the conversation and keep the community strong. So remember, like it, love it, share it, Chicago.
Chicago, are you ready to ride through art, culture, and pure Bronzeville magic? The Bronzeville Art District Trolley Tour is back every third Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. Hop aboard our double-decker trolley buses for a night of art, community, and unforgettable vibes. For powerful exhibits at Blanc Gallery, to creative expressions at the Bronzeville Art Lofts, to cultural treasures at Fay African Art and the soul-stirring brilliance of Gallery Gashard. Each stop is a whole experience. This is not just a tour, it's a moving celebration of Bronzeville's heartbeat. Meet the artist, feel the rhythm, bring your friends, bring your energy. June 19th, July 17th, August 21st, and September 18th, every third Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. And it's free to ride the Bronzeville Art District Trolley Tour. 20 years strong and still rolling. Tap in for the culture. Tap in for the ride. RSVP now at Eventbrite and search the Bronzeville Art District Trolley Tour 2026. See you there.
When you play the 7X Bingo Multiplier Instant Ticket from the Illinois Lottery, you play with purpose. Over $8.4 million has been raised to help support homelessness programs in Illinois. Purchase one to help raise even more. Be smart, play smart. Must be 18 years or older to play. Game odds available at IllinoisLottery.com.
It's Cleopatra Draper.
But when you say certain things like that, it's just not
I
right.
know it's your joke.
I know, that's why you called me.
I'm reading the article right here.
Yeah, but you can read. But yeah, but as you read in the Constitution, they are moving the goalposts. Bianca, you too old for this.
Nobody's moving the goalposts.
Oh, nobody's moving the goalposts. Oh, yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. They definitely are. And you, that big black hope on the 50-yard line, saying, "Let me play."
Middays at 9 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This is your host and life coach, Linnell Harris, and I want you to join me every Sunday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. for Inspirational Perspective. On Inspirational Perspective, we talk life vision, life purpose, and the show is all about helping you live the best life possible. So join me as we look at supporting you in living the life you intend to live and making your life's vision a reality. Every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 a.m. WVON.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
WVON traffic and weather now.
If you're leaving out now, you should be on time. Traffic pretty light. Right now along the Ryan, you'll move along at the posted speed inbound from 95th Street into downtown. Light traffic along the Bishop Ford and Tuskegee Airmen Memorial. Things are still pretty quiet for now along DuSable Lakeshore Drive. No problems, no delays to report along the Stevenson either way. If you're on the Eisenhower, you're looking at 45 minutes in from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, 40 on the return trip. And the Kennedy, no problems either way. Taking a look at our weather, a problem. That air quality alert remains in effect. That smoke from the wildfires continue to blanket our area. The National Weather Service says today's air quality is a little worse than yesterday. Temperatures, however, climbing into the 80s. We're headed toward a daytime high of around 89, a low back again at 74. We're looking at 78 right now at Midway. It's 78 in Chatham and 78 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Vernoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
Morning, folks. 740, Talk of Chicago, Voice of the Nation, 1690 WVON. It's Abdul. Always good to be here. Coming to you from the Fortress of Solitude in Indianapolis. 185 miles door to door from my house to the WVON studios on South Wells. Always good to be here, be chatting. 773-591-1690 is the phone number. Well, the president last night, which I watched, I didn't watch it live, so I was watching The Big Bang Theory. Much more fun. And I was watching The Big Bang Theory. I was like, I'll just watch President when he gives this thing afterwards. So then after it was on, I turned on CNN and watched his speech. Like, yeah, there's my drunk uncle. Yeah, yeah, voted fraud, blah, blah, Chinese. Yeah. Thousands, yeah, whatever. I kind of went on about my business. Then I got to thinking, I was putting the show together this morning. When the president talks about election fraud and voter integrity, he might want to turn around and look at the crowd behind him. Because we had a situation here of non-citizens and the election process. And it impacted our Secretary of State here because in Indiana, the Secretary of State is actually the chief election officer. They oversee elections. And in the process, there's a gentleman, his name was Diego Morales. First Hispanic, Guatemalan, Latino Secretary of State ever elected in Indiana history. They elected, big thing, whoop-de-doo, yay, even though the guy had a bunch of problems. Like some voting issues, voted in one place, lived in another place, you can't do that. When there are declaration of candidacy forms that people had to fill out as Secretary of State, they were notarized properly, caused a big stir. Bought a $90,000 luxury vehicle to be driven around in. Yeah, so it's just a mess, just a disaster. But because he had an R next to his name, he kept winning. And so this year, the Secretary of State was up for re-election, and the Secretary of State of Indiana is picked by a nominating convention, not by the voters directly. So what happens is Republicans and Democrats all have a nomination committee. They have a convention. Candidates run for Secretary of State, Treasurer, State Auditor. Get the most delegates, you win. You go and you're the party's nominee on the ballot in November. So Diego Morales was doing his thing and running as probably going to get renominated until I found out that one of his deputy chiefs of staff who oversaw elections in Indiana was actually a non-citizen. Yes. The person overseeing elections in Indiana was a non-citizen. Now, here's why that matters. My thing is, if you're qualified to do the job, go right ahead, which the woman wasn't really qualified to do because she had no election background whatsoever. However, what made this a story here in Indiana was the fact that Diego Morales said, no, we need to make sure non-citizens aren't voting. Even though there have only been like 21 cases in the past, 20 years of non-citizens actually voting in Indiana. But one is too many. Out of 20 years, 6 million people, okay, whatever, fine. And so the storyline was, which yours truly broke, by the way, it's what I do for a living. One of the things I do for a living is wrote the story that, okay, folks, listen to this. And by the way, here's how we found out she was a non-citizen. We checked with the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, the BMV, driver license places, because the driver license places here in Indiana are under the governor, as opposed to back home in the Empire, they're under the Secretary of State. And so I sent an email to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, like, hey, it's Abdul, how's it going, blah, blah. Need to check on the residency status of the XYZ person. Is she a citizen? And they sent me an email back saying, Abdul, no, she's not. Because on an Indiana driver's license, there's a number on there that folks can tell if you're a citizen or non-citizen, like a number 9B or something like that. When I saw that, it's like, there we go. This person is now a non-citizen. Non-citizen overseeing Indiana elections. So for all this voter fraud and voter integrity and non-citizen voting, where was the non-citizen? Actually, right there. Now, while she had registered to vote, there was an issue as to whether she actually voted or not. I focused more on the non-citizen angle of all this. And then the story got ridiculous. It caused a big giant stir. People were getting mad. And so at the convention, Republicans, they threw Diego Morales out and put in another guy named Max Engling. And so now it's a whole other Secretary of State's race. And by the way, Engling's a big Trump person too. Put a statement about the president, these non-citizens voting. So I got to deal with that this weekend as well. But I had to laugh and I had to chuckle that for all this talk from my Republican friends about voter fraud and non-citizens and need more voter ID and birth certificates, the whole 9 yards, where was the actual problem? The actual problem was staring them right in the mirror. Imagine that. So when I saw that, I just had to laugh and chuckle. Because for all the things that the Secretary of State had done, private vehicle, he took trips to India and Hungary on the taxpayer dime. It was for economic investment and economic development, whatever. All the stuff that Mr. Morales had done, that was just one straw. That was a straw that broke the Bactrian camel's back. Once a dromedary camel was one hump, Bactrian camel was 2 humps. If I remember correctly? Yeah. So I just had to share that and get that out the way this morning. When we come back, I lost stuff on my little sheet of paper here. What are we going to talk about when we come back? Oh, yeah. NAACP. They got their convention in town. So we'll get your thoughts on that. NAACP, we the people. Yeah, but yeah, we'll talk about the NAACP. Nothing bad, just a random thought I had recently about the organization. It is 7:48, Talk Chicago, 1690 WVON. It's Abdul and Rufus Williams. We'll be right back.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
It's Rufus Williams. The thrill of summer is finally here, which also means it'll be over before we know it. This fall, the Rufus Williams Travel Club is heading to Charleston, South Carolina, October 8th through the 12th. Join me as we experience the beauty, the brilliance, and the culture of one of America's most captivating cities. We'll enjoy the charm of the Lowcountry, breathtaking scenery, incredible cuisine, and the rich African-American history of Charleston. There will also be a few special surprises designed just for our group. So whether you're traveling alone, with family, or with friends, you'll be welcomed into an unforgettable experience filled with great people and great memories. Space is limited, and the best rates are right now. Simply go to WVON.com, click on the Rufus Williams Travel Club banner, and reserve your space. Advantage International is the official travel partner of the Rufus Williams Travel Club. Charleston, South Carolina, October 8th through the 12th. Travel with people, travel with purpose, travel with us.
Some people wait for the future, others build it. WVON proudly presents the 2026 40 Game Changers Under 40. This year, it's a compass celebrating the navigators of next. Do you know an entrepreneur, community change agent, rising executive, educator, innovator, or a creator who is 40 or under and doing great work to help shape the future of Chicago? Or is that someone you? Now through July 17th, we're taking nominations. Visit 40gamechangers.com to submit your nominee. And then keep listening for updates on this year's exciting celebration. In 2026, our compass is on the navigators of next, because Chicago's future belongs to the people bold enough to lead it. Sponsored by BMO.
This is Kamini Khan, certified financial planner professional. For the past year, I've been on a mission to change lives and build wealth in our community. Together, we're changing the paradigm. This year, I'm back with a new series, Wealth Strategies, Money Talks. Join me every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. on the Rufus Williams Show as we have thoughtful discussions around building wealth in our community. We'll discuss topics like investing, savings, tax strategies, retirement, and all things money. Yes, that's Tuesday at 8:30 a.m., so set those alarms. Also, be sure to check out the podcast at WVONwealthshow.com.
Komini Khan is a certified financial planner professional with Optimal Planning Partners in alliance with Equitable Advisors, LLC member SIPC in Oak Brook, Illinois. For more information, please call 630-575-5046.
She's been the gospel soundtrack to our Sunday mornings, a friend to the community, and at WVON, she's family. Join Mayor Brandon Johnson, DCASE, the Chicago Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, as they celebrate Chicago's gospel sister, Pam Morris Walton, during the Chicago Gospel Music Festival on Saturday, July 25th in Millennium Park. Come help us honor a woman who has spent her life lifting up others through faith, music, and service. Legends deserve their flowers. And after 4 decades of being a minister of gospel music in Chicago, it's Chicago's turn to celebrate a living legend. It's Pam Morris Day at the Chicago Gospel Music Festival, Saturday, July 25th. We'll see you at Gospel Fest, July 25th.
This report is sponsored by RockAuto.com. A failed strut can turn any drive into a rough ride. When it's time for repairs, Rock Auto makes finding the right part easy. Shop name brands at lower prices and have parts shipped directly to your door. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto.
WVON traffic and weather now.
It's typical to see light traffic on a Friday in Chicago. As you make your way along the Ryan, there are no problems or delays in either direction. Things remain pretty quiet along the Bishop Fort and Tuskegee Airmen Memorial. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, we're seeing just a few brake lights northbound right there at Roosevelt Road. That's mainly a stoplight delay, and it's kind of stop and go from Roosevelt Road to Monroe. Otherwise, DuSable Lakeshore Drive moving well. Not too bad along the Stevenson either. Still 35 minutes in from I-355 to DuSable Drive, 35 traveling out. The Eisenhower, the heaviest at 45 minutes from Thorndale to the Burns Circle. Give yourself 40 on the return. And the Kennedy moving along at the posted speed inbound from O'Hare to downtown and back again. Taking a look at our weather, we're seeing a smoky haze once again. Those wildfires out of Canada pretty much still in our area, causing us to have another air quality alert day. Temperatures are expected to climb into the upper 80s today. 89 is our official high. Our official low tonight, 74. We're still holding on to 78 at Midway. It's 78 in West Inglewood and 78 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel.
We will not be held responsible for any accidents.
It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Welcome back, folks. 7:54. Talk of Chicago. Voice of the Nation, 1690 WVON. Always good to be here. Always a pleasure. Well, tomorrow at McCormick Place is the NAACP conference, We the People. The 18th through the 22nd. You probably heard some of the ads on here on WVON. The theme is tied to the 255th third time in Chicago, 1926, 94, and now. And don't get me wrong, NAACP, Urban League, I respect their history and I respect what they've done and all the work they've had. As a matter of fact, the NAACP was founded, I want to say, or the evidence for the NAACP was Springfield, the 1908 race riots, if my memory serves me correctly. Remember when I worked for public access station as a college student in grad school, remember they did the documentary on the race riots. It was actually pretty good. It's like, go on YouTube. It should be on YouTube. Go check it out. But I suppose my question is, in the 21st century, let's go 1 second here. Can you point to anything specifically in your life that is better today because of NAACP, Urban League, Operation Push? I suppose I'm not coming at this from a negative perspective, but I've never been much of a joiner. Never been one of joining groups or organizations. I've always been more of an individualist. I got this on my own. Granted, I'm not so arrogant, I am, that I don't acknowledge that people help open doors for me, which is why I kind of do the same thing for people coming behind me. Open doors, mentor, that type of thing. That's why I teach college part-time. Because for a lot of my college students, I am the first African-American male teacher they've actually had. Mostly female, mostly white. By the way, the biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action, by the way, white women, just a thought. And my advice to them is don't perpetuate a stereotype. We all know what that means. So suppose my question has always been, as they know, we got the NAACP conference, people get together, they'll talk. Suppose my question is, if I may quote Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately? Point to something tangible, not something necessarily esoteric. That how, I won't say the Abdul world. The Abdul world's a whole different creature into itself. But how is the world better today? So today, for Black folks, as opposed to, yesterday, the day before, 20, 30, something odd years ago. So they're focused on today, not yesterday. Like I said, the mortal words of Janet Jackson, what have you people done for me lately? That simple. So that's just a thought that's out there. So we can talk about that. It is 7:59 here on the Talk of Chicago Voice of the Nation, 1690 WVON. When we come back, we'll also talk about the mayor, Brandon Johnson. I heard some of the interviews on the Best of WVON about the city of Chicago. It's gotten better, gotten worse, and his leadership, you tell me. I'm just visiting. Like the little blue part of the Monopoly board. But the part I go to jail, and the blue part just visiting. It is 8 o'clock. Talk Chicago Voice Nation, 1690 WVON. It is Abdul and Rufus Williams. We'll be right back.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
You've got mail.
Are you an insider? Well, if you're part of the WVON family, you should be. Sign up for the WVON's weekly Insider e-newsletter and stay in the know on all things VON. It's news, it's entertainment, it's the 411 on all things Chicago. Become an insider. Sign up on the WVON app or at WVON.com. You're now connected.
Goodbye.
Have you checked out WVON's digital streaming network, Bond TV? It's everywhere on Roku, Apple TV Plus, Amazon Fire, on the WVON app, and at VON.TV. Bond TV, it's cultural content on purpose.
Another hazy and smoke-filled sky on this Friday, July 17th, 2026. I'm Anna Flanoyan in the headlines. About 3 hours from now, hundreds will say a final farewell at the Celebration of Life services for George E. Johnson. An air quality alert remains in effect in our area, and a boil order is in effect in Cicero. National news from the Black Information Network is next on Chicago's only urban talk radio station, 1690 AM WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's 8:01.
Here's PIN News Now. More than 100 House Democrats voted Wednesday to cut U.S. aid to Israel, reflecting growing divisions within the party over the war in Gaza.
On this vote, the yeas are 104, the nays 314. The amendment is not adopted.
The proposal failed, but it marked a significant shift in congressional debate over support for Israel. A prominent Black family is withdrawing a $1 million scholarship from the University of North Carolina at Wilmington after the school said it could not limit eligibility to African-American students. The family plans to move the fund, named for Dr. Leroy Upperman, a Black physician, to an HBCU to continue its original mission. And 50 Cent is asking a judge to dismiss a lawsuit filed by a former employee, calling the case a publicity stunt. The ex-executive claimed she was fired after refusing to help conceal assets during bankruptcy proceedings. Get PIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app. Back to Terry McCready.
President Trump says he's declassifying evidence showing the American election system is vulnerable to interference and fraud. In a primetime address from the White House, Trump said China exploited weaknesses in our voting system to gain access to 220 million U.S. voter files.
Over a period of years, starting during the 2020 election cycle, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history.
Trump said China hacked our systems and projected its influence in the 2020 election. He added that a deep state within the U.S. government fought to keep China's actions hidden from the American public. The president said China's efforts were an attempt to keep him out of power. He singled out the Biden administration for hiding the information, adding he's asked the FBI to investigate what was uncovered. He also says the White House has published a new election integrity website that discloses the documents. An update on the mysterious death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells. Newly released emergency audio from the day he went missing off the Mississippi coast is raising new questions about the timeline of the black teen's final hours. The recordings obtained by NBC News capture a distress call from the operator of a boat carrying some of the teen's friends after the vessel reportedly suffered a malfunction while leaving Horn Island on the 4th of July. The call was made at around 4 p.m., right around the time Wells was allegedly last seen by his friend group and before the boat returned to the mainland. The audio provides some of the clearest documented evidence of confusion surrounding his disappearance. Authorities believe Wells stayed behind on Horn Island voluntarily, while his family and attorney Ben Crump have challenged portions of that account and other inconsistencies in witness statements. The United States continuing to send aid as Venezuela recovers from back-to-back earthquakes. This, according to Florida Congresswoman Maria Elvira Salazar, who says we have 2,000 troops on the ground to help find bodies and clear debris. But the U.S. also needs to create rule of law and democracy.
But what I can tell you, we will be sponsoring presidential elections in Venezuela, I am sure, next year.
Venezuela is still being led by interim President Delcy Rodriguez, with U.S. oversight after the removal of President Nicolas Maduro. Salazar says exiled leader Maria Corina Machado needs to go back and lead the new government in Caracas, but Rodriguez has implied that if Machado returns to Venezuela, she could be arrested. All right, with intense anti-immigrant sentiment in South Africa, the Zimbabwean government says nearly 100,000 citizens have returned home since the end of May. This comes after a looming June 30th deadline by anti-illegal migrant group March and March for undocumented foreigners to self-deport. Around 3/4 of those returning are women and children, and the government says it has expanded repatriation and reintegration efforts. There are roughly 2 million Zimbabweans living in South Africa, and officials expect more than half to vacate. I'm Terry McCready for the Black Information Network.
This report is sponsored by Rocket Mortgage. Homeowners, would you like to save on your monthly payments? Mortgage rates have been dropping. Visit rocketmortgage.com today to see what you can save. Call 800-863-4332 for cost information and conditions. Rocket Mortgage, LLC license in all 50 states. NMLS Consumer Access Org, number 3030.
Create your escape this summer at Wind Creek Casino and Hotel. You could win an incredible outdoor living prize package and transform your backyard with beautiful patio furniture, a dream outdoor kitchen, a relaxing spa, and more. A share of $100,000 in prizes is up for grabs. Earn entries now. Drawings every Saturday, July 11th to August 1st, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Win the backyard of your dreams at Wind Creek. Must be 21 years or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER.
This Saturday, be a part of a conversation that matters. Join the Rainbow Push Coalition for a special Saturday morning forum featuring an exclusive fireside chat with Derek Johnson, President and CEO of the NAACP. As the NAACP National Convention comes to Chicago, hear an important discussion on civil rights, the future of democracy, and the work still ahead to build a more just America. Breakfast and networking begins at 8:30 a.m. with a live program at 10 a.m. at Rainbow Push headquarters, 930 East 50th Street in Chicago. Or watch on Facebook, YouTube, or the Word Network. Together, we push forward.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
Hey Alexa, play WVON 1690 AM.
Getting WVON 1690 AM station from iHeartRadio.
Try it out for yourself. America is listening to WVON.
Greetings, WVON family. It's your brother and friend, Bomani Obadeli of the Activist Hour. Join me on Saturday mornings as we discuss a holistic and public health approach to addressing community violence. We will also be discussing ways that we can create a safe, peaceful, economically thriving, and healthy communities. Join me Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. on WVON for the Activist Hour.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
WVON traffic and weather now.
As you make your way along the Ryan, there are no problems or delays in either direction. We're looking at pretty light traffic along the Bishop Ford and Tuskegee Airmen Memorial. If you're on DuSable Lakeshore Drive, just a little light activity right around Roosevelt Road. That's northbound. That's mainly due to that stoplight delay. Otherwise, things are moving well. The Stevenson's still a 35-minute trip from I-355 to DuSable Drive. Give yourself just about 40 traveling out. The inbound side of the Eisenhower, no changes there. Still just about 45 from Thorndale to the Burns Circle outbound, a 40-minute trip. And the Kennedy, we're not even registering a travel time. That's because you're moving along at the posted speed. Taking a look at our weather, we're under another air quality alert in our area. That smoke from the wildfires from Canada still blanketing our skyline. Temperatures today are expected to climb into the upper 80s. We're looking at a daytime high of around 89. Things will level off tonight at around 74. But it is 8:09 and already 80 degrees at Midway. It's 80 in Olympia Fields and 80 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Live from the Xfinity Studios, it's the station that America listens to, WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's Rufus Williams on Chicago's essential storyteller, WVON.
You wonder how to do it. It's just one simple rule. I'm just cool. Honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Hey. R-U-F-U-S. What's that spell? R-U-F-U-S. I'm just cool. Honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Sing it, baby. R-U-F-U-S. What's that thing? R-U-F-U-S. That spell cool. The Audio Genius. The Audio Genius. The Audio Genius.
Good morning, folks. Good morning, my friends. It's Abdul and Rufus Williams this morning. Thank you all for being with us here on the Talk of Chicago, Voice of the Nation, 1690 WVON. Always a pleasure to be here. Monday, I'm here on Monday on the program. We'll do a kind of a Bears follow-up on Chicago Bears possibly moving to Hammond, Indiana for a new stadium. So we'll get an update on that. See if I can get a hold of my good friend, Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott, who's been big and pushing the whole Bears thing. And also got some contacts back home in the Empire, Springfield. We'll get them on. So we get them on the air too, and find out what's going on with the Bears and the possible move to northwestern Indiana. But speaking of Chicago, not necessarily the Chicago Bears, I got a question for you folks. Obviously, there's perception, and then there's what's called reality, particularly when it comes to life in a big major metropolitan area. And the one thing out here outside of the Chicago area, that Chicago's not safe, it's got the highest murder rate in the world, you go there, you're going to get shot, blah, 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 go victim of crime, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, okay. I have sort of a personal vestige in this because that's kind of where I grew up. And I will be the first one to admit there are certain neighborhoods I won't go into at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, actually, I would go at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because then most people are asleep. 2 o'clock in the morning, I would not go in. Now, with that said, though, as we look at the city, my question has always been, do you feel safe? Because the mayor touts, Brandon Johnson, historic reductions in crime. CPD, Chicago Police Department's budget, $2.1 billion. Overtime doubled from $100 million to $200 million. People are paying more, but do you feel more safe? Do you feel safe in your car as you get on the CTA or the Metro or Metra or on your own front porch for that matter? Now, we did take a look at the mayor's polling numbers. A Suffolk Tribune poll had the mayor 34% favorable, 44% unfavorable. Not good. And in late June, Current Chicago Business had a poll where the mayor's unfavorable ratings were 71%. Gianola's 7%, quickly 12%, Mendoza 11%. Now the petitions are due late October for the election February 23rd of next year. And the mayor has not committed to running yet. Now I think there's a logical reason for the mayor not say whether he's going to run or not. Because as long as you keep people guessing, you keep raising money. If you say you're not going to run again, then you're going to have a problem. Contracts, donations, campaign contributions, the whole 9 yards. Now, the mayor does hold 30-40% of the black vote, which I would argue is the only thing that's keeping him above the political graveyard right now. Like the Black Frankenstein monster, or Blackenstein, as the old 70s movies was. Really bad movie, black exploitation film. So my question for you folks is this: do you think the mayor deserves another term in office, or should you just call it a day and go do something else? 773-591-6090 is the phone number. Should Brandon Johnson get another term, or should he get lost? And I say this as a completely neutral observer. Yes, I have my moderate conservative Republican light politics. But to me, there's no Republican or Democrat way to run a city. Either you know what you're doing or you don't. You either fill the potholes or you don't. Either make sure people got good schools or you can't. Even though I'm firm believer in the voucher system. There's no Republican way to pick up the road, to pave the roads, pick up the trash, make sure the basics are taken. Either you know what you're doing or you don't. So there's no Republican or Democrat way to run a city. So whether it's Mondini in New York or Brandon or whoever, either know what you're doing or you don't know what you're doing. Plain and simple. So my question is, do you guys think the mayor knows what he's doing when it comes to running the city of Chicago, third largest city in the United States of America? 773-591-6090. It's Abdul in for Rufus Williams. We'll be right back.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
In July, Vaughn TV has your summer watch list covered. Go behind the headlines with the official launch of Portraits in Color, featuring candid conversations with music executive Matthew Knowles, community leader Jotaka Edie, and actress Danielle Truitt.
My family's very proud. It was very cool to, when the show first came out and to see myself in those credits, with dun, 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 and be like, that's me. That's crazy, It is very cool to be a part of the legacy of Law and Order now.
And that's just the beginning. Premiering this month, Serenity, Strength, and Style with Sylvia Ewing and Friends, a fresh new series featuring inspiring conversations about health, wellness, creativity, and living life to the fullest. This July, there's something for everyone on Vaughn TV. Watch on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV Plus, the WVON app, or at Vaughn.tv. Vaughn TV, for the culture, by the culture.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Boy, hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
Maria Pappas with Black Houses Matter.
We're up to way over 400 million here. Yeah, giving money back. How about that? People in Bellwood got 10 million, Broadview 6 million, Burnham 3 million, Calhoun 17 million. The city of Chicago's up to $190 million that we have given back to African Americans. Who does that? Nobody does that but WVON.
Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas with Black Houses Matter, Monday mornings at 11:30 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
WVON traffic and weather now.
No changes in your travel times this break, but I do have good news for those who take the South Shoreline between Millennium Station and South Bend. Right now, it's back to normal. The operations are back to normal following that freight train derailment back on June 24th. We've had things on a very temporary schedule, but it's back to normal. Taking a look at our weather. Nothing normal about the smoke that's in our area. An air quality alert remains affecting our area. The National Weather Service says our air hazard level is worse than yesterday. Today's high going up to 89, our low 74. We're up to 81 at O'Hare. It's 81 in Lawndale and 81 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm in Illinois on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
Good morning, folks. 822, Talk Chicago, Voice of the Nation, 1690 WVON. Always a pleasure. It's Abdul and for Rufus Williams this morning. Talk about how you think the mayor's doing. How is crime in the city? I recall just about maybe 15 years ago in Indianapolis, I was interviewing the police chief at the time, and the perception was that crime was getting out of control because there was like shootings and murders, like it was getting really, really bad. And the line that the chief of police used, and he kind of got yelled at, but I agree with him wholeheartedly. He said the quiet part out loud that some people didn't want to hear. And what he said was, Abdul, if you're not out doing a drug deal at 3 o'clock in the morning at some bad neighborhood, we'll just say 42nd and Post Road, which is kind of like the bad neighborhood here in Indianapolis, your odds of being a victim of crime are slim to none. And then the mayor's kind of got a point. Well, the police chief had a point at the time. Now, we're not talking about domestic violence or things like that, because that's a whole different creature when it comes to murders and homicides. But when it comes to murder, number one, 9 out of 10 times the victim and the perpetrators know each other. This whole kind of stranger danger, Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees thing, that doesn't really exist. There's some of that, but most murders, the victim and the perpetrators know each other. And usually was a fight, an argument, or some, how can I say this? Unauthorized legal transaction come into place. So let's establish that with that. But otherwise, as somebody who follows municipal government, municipal politics, that's kind of my area of specialty, I've always been interested in the urban politics of the big city. And when it comes to the city of Chicago, we don't get much bigger than that. That's hardcore, knockdown, brass knuckles, a sock full of sand, wet sand, knock somebody upside the head. Trench warfare, World War I, politics by politics fight, which as sophisticated as I am, who doesn't love watching a good street fight? Because every once in a while, you got to remind people here, when they start talking crazy, like you guys do realize where I'm from and where I grew up. And please do not mistake my politeness for weakness. I've had to do that a couple times with some folks. And they found out the hard way who they were messing with. Lifelong White Sox fan, me and the Pope. Tried and true. But obviously when it comes to re-elections, what can get a mayor elected or re-elected or elected again is usually a crime issue. Do people feel safe? The roads infrastructure. Can you drive down the street without having to play the old moon buggy game and dodge potholes? And to a lesser degree, how are the schools doing? Depends on whether they have a school board or the mayor's appointed school board or the mayor controls the schools, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So based, my friends, on those three things, this is the question I'm asking this morning, is, or do you think the mayor, because he hasn't made up his mind yet, does he deserve another bite at the apple? Like I said, looking at the mayor's approval ratings, Suffolk Tribune poll, 34% favorable, 44% unfavorable, 71% unfavorable. In a late June Cranes reported poll, and among Gianolis, Quigley, and Mendoza, he's got the worst approval ratings in the entire universe. Now, once again, those mayoral petitions are due in late October, and the mayor has not committed whether he's going to run yet. And still 30 to 40% of black folks support the mayor. like I said, just looking at the city, I don't know why. We say, no, it's Eddie Murphy. What have you done for me lately? Janet Jackson. Eddie, I want half. But what have you done? Why should you get another term in office? Because if you're going to challenge an incumbent, A, you got to tell people why the incumbent is bad. Number two, why you should take the incumbent's place. Now, I know this because back in 2023, 3 years ago, I actually ran for mayor of Indianapolis. Came in second in a Republican primary. Also, a guy who spent $2 million. Only raised like $100,000. Came in second place, which actually wasn't bad. So I learned a lot about municipal politics at the time. I decided to stop talking about politics and do something. So we did. And I think we brought an interesting conversation to the table. I also lost to a gentleman, good friend, who was a major Trump supporter. And the incumbent Democrat mayor, they used that against him because Donald Trump was not popular here in Indianapolis and Marion County and got his clock clean. Remember afterwards, it was like a couple months after the election, I was having drinks with one of the mayor's top people. We were really good friends, always have been. He told me, Abdul, we were more worried about you getting the mayor's job, getting the mayor nomination than the other guy. I was like, why? Because you're not a Trump person. And we couldn't, because we were all ready to go with Jefferson and what Jefferson supported Donald Trump, but you'd been a whole different ball of wax. Like, wow, thank you. I feel privileged. Like, yeah, the night you lost the primary, we all breathed a big giant sigh of relief. Like, well, congratulations, Dan, because so did my wife. Remember when I came home with that night after losing the primary, it's like, honey, I'm sorry you lost. I feel bad for you. You did a good job. Now get your crap out of the garage so I can put my car back in there. He's like, yes, dear. So there we go. Abdul's adventure into municipal politics. 773-591-69 is phone number. It is Abdul in for Rufus Williams this morning. Still ahead. State budget, immigration, migrants. Please show me a job immigrants doing that you're willing to do, because I don't see it happening. I'm not cleaning toilets or hotel rooms or any of that other stuff. That's not what I went to law school for. It is 8:31. Talk Chicago. Let's get check of news, and we'll be right back.
Hazy and smoky as temperatures climb near 90. Good morning, I'm Anna Fernoy, and here's what's happening. IDOT is planning on closing outbound lanes along the Dan Ryan this weekend. The closures are part of scheduled repairs on the 63rd Street overpass to I-90-94. Crews will also be installing steel support beams over the expressway. The ramp and lane closures will take effect tomorrow night. While Chicago is still under an air quality alert, Perry Williams has more.
The city had the worst air quality in Chicago history yesterday, as well as in the world among major cities. Dr. Jeremy Smiley of Endeavor Health says people diagnosed with lung and heart issues should remain indoors.
Some irritation in the eye, nose, throat. Obviously, chemicals can make people nauseous. Just smoking any strong odors can make people nauseous and have coughs.
The Chicago Park District closed all beaches and outdoor pools, and all day camps have been moved inside. I'm Perry Williams.
Health officials say because of the tiny particulate matter that folks should consider wearing a N95 mask, especially if you have to be or work outside. Well, later this morning, leaders at St. Sabina Church will address accusations of sex abuse against their senior pastor, Father Michael Pfleger. Earlier this week, Pfleger was removed from the pulpit and is living away from the parish while the Archdiocese of Chicago investigates. A woman says she was abused 30 years ago while a student. St. Sabina leaders are set to address what they call the mishandling of the accusations. In a statement, Father Pfleger calls the allegations an absolute lie. Funeral services for George E. Johnson will begin at 11 this morning at Trinity United Church of Christ on West 95th Street. The church will live stream the services on its website. Yesterday, hundreds paid their respects at the Visitation at Leake & Sons Funeral Homes on Cottage Grove. George E. Johnson was a Chicago business giant. He founded Johnson Products on Chicago's South Side in 1954 and turned it into an empire that made Afro Sheen a household name. In 1971, Johnson Products became the first Black-owned business to be listed on the American Stock Exchange. George E. Johnson died on July 6th. He was 99. That's a look at our news now on 1690 WVON. Traffic and weather up next. WVO News Time, 8:33.
Ada S. McKinley provides behavioral and mental health services at 4 Southside clinics. They serve people of all ages with a strong focus on therapy, counseling, and youth crisis. Their counselors and mental health professionals are well-trained and experienced in treating problems caused by emotional distress and or trauma. To schedule an appointment, call 312-761-1099 or visit adasmckinley.org.
A new episode of Mama I Made It is here. This month, award-winning journalist Samantha Chapman sits down with Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker for a candid conversation about leadership, public service, and the issues shaping the future of our state. From the challenges of governing to the people and experiences that have shaped his journey. This is a side of the governor you won't want to miss. Stream the new episode of Mama I Made It only on Vaughn TV. Available on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, the WVON app, and at VON.TV.
Matt McGill. My brother Carl West, that's my stuff. You can use it there. It's some cocoa butter.
What y'all doing with cocoa butter, man? What y'all doing in here? It's like puffy with baby oil, man. What are y'all doing with just cocoa butter laying around? And it's just wide open for anybody to stick their fingers in. Who's going to use this, man? I don't know whose hands been inside of here, man. Trader Joe's, they went coconut butter. They even abbreviated.
I know, right?
I don't want that.
Weekdays at noon on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Are you ready? Not just to do hair, but to build a real beauty business.
If you're a stylist, a barber, or a beauty professional, this show is for you.
I'm Nidra Williams of Solo Beauty Supply.
I'm Dr. Lekashan, trichologist and salon owner.
Breaking down real strategy, real growth, and what it takes to win in this industry.
Tap in, lean in, and level up.
The Hair Salon Tour Show, where beauty professionals become business powerhouses. Join us Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Where beauty professionals become business powerhouse. WVON 1690.
Leaders, advocates, entertainers, and changemakers from across the globe are in Chicago to advance civil rights and social justice at the NAACP's 117th National Convention. We the People. Now through July 22nd, the convention will address issues like voting rights, education, criminal justice, environmental justice, and economic opportunity. Monday, July 20th, WVON's Matt McGill will broadcast live from 12 p. to 3 p.m. from the McCormick Place West Building. To register, visit NAACP.org/thehub.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
This summer, experience live music under the stars at Ravinia, everybody. Gladys Knight, Brian McKnight are going to headline, and they'll be joined by Chance the Rapper and a special opening night gala performance featuring Lizzo with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. See great performances all season long, from legendary voices to hometown favorites. Ravinia brings unforgettable sounds to the summer stage. Get your tickets now at ravinia.org.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
WVON traffic and weather now.
The inbound Ryan just now registering with a travel time on our map. We're looking at 17 minutes in from 95th Street into downtown. Very light traffic right around Pershing Road to Roosevelt Road. As you make your way along the Bishop Ford and Tuskegee Airmen Memorial, still pretty quiet. If you're on DuSable Lakeshore Drive northbound from 67th Street to Jackson, there are no problems or delays, just a minor stop-and-go traffic right there at Roosevelt Road. That's mainly due to a stoplight delay. Around the Stevenson, you're moving along at the Post of Speed each way. The Eisenhower moving along at just 40 minutes from Thorndale to the Burns Circle. That outbound trip will take you 40. And we're finally registering on the Kennedy. 35 minutes in from O'Hare to downtown, getting to the airport an easy breezy 26 minutes. Taking a look at our weather, we're still under that thick haze and smoke. An air quality alert remains in effect in our area. The National Weather Service says our air hazard level is worse today than yesterday. Temperatures today climbing near 90. 89 is the official high, 74 our low tonight. We're up to 82 at Midway. It's 82 in Lawndale and 82 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel.
We will not be held responsible for any accidents.
It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Good morning, folks. 8:39, Talk Chicago, Voice of the Nation, 1690 WVON. And thank you, Titus, for my 80s, what I call my Jerry Curl rock R&B. Lisa, Paul Abdul. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you. I was always more of a Lisa, Paul Abdul type fan. Of course, any woman whose half her name is mine, you just can't go wrong whatsoever. Love forever, your girl. Welcome back, folks. 1690 WVON. It's Abdul in for Rufus Williams this morning. It's interesting, the story surrounding Father Pfleger. Which, by the way, I would say this about anybody who's been charged with a crime, innocent until proven guilty. That's our standard, et cetera, et cetera. Now, with that said, he was removed July 11th, about a week ago. His fifth accusation in 4 years. Third suspension is that this was an adult woman who attended St. Sabina Academy back in the 1990s. Now, Father Pfleger called it an absolute lie and said his gun violence work, his Trump opposition, his friendship with Louis Farrakhan are all sort of the reasons why people are kind of out to get him. And here's the other thing, too. This is like the fifth time that someone's come forward with accusations against Father Pfleger. And the last 4 times, they were all unsubstantiated. Let me say that again. This is the 5th time that Father Pfleger has been accused of inappropriate behavior. And the other 4 times, they were all unsubstantiated. Now, one been substantiated, okay, that's one thing. But 4 times? Each accusation unsubstantiated? Really? Now, the only 2 options are either people keep lying about this man, which I tend to lean towards that category, or the review board that's reviewing the allegations keeps missing something. That's it. 5th accusation, 4 years, 3rd suspension. We think, or have an idea, how this is probably going to end. Now, St. Sabina was literally right around the corner from the old house because we used to live around 79th and Laughlin. St. Sabina was like, 76-ish, Racine, Bishop, Loomis-ish, in that neck of the woods. Because I remember when I actually met him, oh God, like 30-something odd years ago, because my parents were back home in the old house. They relocated from the Quad Cities, and Dad was in retirement age. And my dad was always Mr. Black Panther, power to the people. God love him for it. Because back in his 30s, he, held his right hand, do the Black Power salute. Of course, now with his arthritis, he can only go about halfway up, like doing a fist bump. I never forget when I was home, just kind of checking on the parents, and they had a protest march against crime, violence. So my dad was like, "Hey, son, I need you to hang out here with your mother for a little bit." I was like, "Why?" "I got to go protest with Father Flanagan." And they were walking down the street. And so we spoke for a few minutes. "Hi, Father Flanagan. My name's Abdul. I'm John's oldest son. Just here checking my head." Like, "No, good to meet you. Your father's a good member of the community. Like, you mind if we still for a little bit?" "No, go right ahead. He's in his element. He's doing his thing. He's out there protesting injustice. So I'll just let him go on about his deal." So he went, did the protest march, and then they came on back. And then I want to say, when the last time I was filling in on the morning show, I actually sent him an email like, "Hey, Father Flanagan, we'd love to have you come on, talk about crime, violence. We just couldn't make the timing work." But I was actually surprised. He emailed me back like that same day, like within a few minutes. Like, wow, I got Father Flanagan's email address. Holy crap! This may come in handy down the road. But I could see right now why he would not want to talk about the accusations. That's the number one rule. You lawyer up not because you did it. You lawyer up because anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. And sometimes you could just be talking casually. You make a sarcastic remark, and then that can be used against you as evidence. That's why I don't tell people to shut up. I had a friend who's a criminal defense attorney. Whenever we give a card, he's like, he's like, "Shut up. If you think about talking, flip the card over, it says, 'Shut up, don't talk.'" Gotta love that. So, if I had to ask, let's say you're on my jury, what do you think? Obviously, innocent until proven guilty. That's kind of point number one. But there's the fifth accusation in 4 years. We know how this ended the other 4 times. Do we have any reason to think that this would be different? I'm a firm believer that Father Flager. Flanagan was the guy from Boys Town. Sorry about that. Is entitled to due process. Just like the accuser is. She's entitled to due process as well. And the question for the accuser is, okay, give me details. When did it happen? What was going on? What was the situation like? Give me all that. Because if you're going to make the accusation, okay, that's fine. But now you put yourself, in the spotlight as well. And things about your personal and your private life that you may consider totally, completely unfair, court of law, doesn't matter. It is 8:47. Talk Chicago Voice Nation 1690 WVON. I'm kind of enjoying talking today. Normally I enjoy the back and forth, but it's been a good conversation. Just me kind of riffing on. That's where I brought my cheat sheet with me with my bullet points. It is 8:47. We'll be right back.
Chicago, are you ready to ride through art, culture, and pure Bronzeville magic? The Bronzeville Art District Trolley Tour is back every third Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. Hop aboard our double-decker trolley buses for a night of art, community, and unforgettable vibes. For powerful exhibits at Blanc Gallery, to creative expressions at the Bronzeville Art Lofts, to cultural treasures at Fay African Art and the soul-stirring brilliance of Gallery Gashard. Each stop is a whole experience. This is not just a tour, it's a moving celebration of Bronzeville's heartbeat. Meet the artist, feel the rhythm, bring your friends, bring your energy. June 19th, July 17th, August 21st, and September 18th, every third Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. And it's free to ride the Bronzeville Art District Trolley Tour. 20 years strong and still rolling. Tap in for the culture. Tap in for the ride. RSVP now at Eventbrite and search the Bronzeville Art District Trolley Tour 2026. See you there.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Point! Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
Oh, I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
This is Kamini Khan, certified financial planner professional. For the past year, I've been on a mission to change lives and build wealth in our community. Together, we're changing the paradigm. This year, I'm back with a new series, Wealth Strategies, Money Talks. Join me every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. on the Rufus Williams Show as we have thoughtful discussions around building wealth in our community. We'll discuss topics like investing, savings, tax strategies, retirement, and all things money. Yes, that's Tuesday at 8:30 a.m., so set those alarms. Also, be sure to check out the podcast at WVONWealthShow.com.
Komini Khan is a certified financial planner professional with Optimal Planning Partners in alliance with Equitable Advisors, LLC member SIPC in Oak Brook, Illinois. For more information, please call 630-575-5046.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
WVON traffic and weather now.
The inbound Ryan still in pretty good shape. We are seeing a little activity right around Pershing Road. Stop and go to Roosevelt Road. Otherwise, your inbound travel time is 17 minutes from 95th Street into downtown. Getting to the Ryan along both the Bishop Fort and Tuskegee Airmen Memorial, you'll move along at the posted speed. Light traffic along DuSable Lakeshore Drive as well. We are seeing some stop and go traffic right there at Balboa. That's mainly a stoplight delay. Otherwise, things look good in both directions. The Stevenson, no problems or delays. You're looking at just about 35 minutes in from I-355 to DuSable Drive, 35 traveling out. No changes on the Eisenhower. Give yourself 40 minutes in from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, 40 traveling out. And the Kennedy, a 35-minute trip in from O'Hare to downtown, getting to the airport pretty quiet at just 26 minutes. Taking a look at our weather, an air quality alert remains in effect. The National Weather Service says our air hazard level is worse today than yesterday. They're asking you to mask up. Right now, temperatures on its way to a daytime high of around 89. We're up to 83 at Midway. It's 83 in Roseland and 83 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel.
We will not be held responsible for any accidents.
It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Good old straight up. Paula Abdul, my free pass. My wife's free pass is Drake. Mine's Paula Abdul. So there we go. Good morning, folks. 853 Talk Chicago Voice of the Nation, 1690 WVON. It's Abdul. Always good to be here. Thank you very much for being with us today. Monday on the show, I'll be in for Rufus Monday and Tuesday, and maybe Wednesday. We're going to talk about taxes. You know, the thing that nobody likes to pay. Taxes in the sense that do you think I don't believe people hate taxes. I think people don't like not getting their money's worth. For example, you're not going to pay, steakhouse prices for White Castle service. That's just not going to happen. Okay, let's go to Frank real quickly. If it's ready to wind up the show today. Hi, Frank. You're on 1690 WVON. Good morning.
Yes, sir. Well, you know I'm gonna call and say good morning. I was just saying, who you doing ticked up, man? They used to be swamping you with calls. Anybody call? I said I'm gonna call in and talk to my brother. Hey, listen,
no, I'm good. It just gives me more time to pontificate, mouth off, so we're good.
I heard that. I'm glad you're taking the positive way. What the heck wrong with y'all? This is a good brother. Listen, this thing with Father Flay, the way I see the same way you do. But I think what triggered this right here, don't be surprised to find out that Mr. Trump, I said Mr. Donald Trump is behind this. So he came out, he didn't say, shut up, President Trump. He didn't say, shut up, Mr. Trump. He said, shut up, Donald. Okay? Like a school teacher schooling a little boy in school. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Trump liked it that much. So I wouldn't be surprised to find out that he's behind it because, they try to find all kind of people to come out the woodwork and say something bad about President Obama when he was running, right? Now, real quick about Mayor Johnson, this mayor has done the best job that anyone could do the position that he's put in, what he's given. I'm telling you, it is not the mayor's fault. And he's still fighting and leaning in the right way because he watched that mayor in New York. I told him he got there. But I blame the city council. I sure do. Brother Abdul, when are our people going to learn how to spell lockstep? If you think that everyone who voted for what George Bush wanted and Reagan and all of them, you think they agree with everything? No, they know how to hold their nose and walk in lockstep with their freaking party. Every good idea this man came up with that would have been good for the city council knocked it down. Okay? So I'm going to find out which way my alderman voted on what Brandon Johnson is bringing forward. You're talking about you want to raise tax on the rich. Every which way he can do and make the people pay their fair share. The city council killed it. I blame the city council. But here's the thing, not walking lockstep.
Yeah, but Frank, here's the thing, though. And here's my issue on the whole tax raising thing. First of all, I don't believe taxes are evil. Taxes are the price we pay for civilization. The question is, how much civilization do we want or need or should we have? I mean, to me, that's what the question is. And here's the thing. If I'm going to pay more taxes, okay, fine, we'll talk about this more on Monday. What am I getting for my money's worth? If I'm a middle-class Chicagoan, no, I'm not super rich, not super poor. What am I getting for paying more money?
Well, you know something, Brother Abdul, I think he laid out pretty good, but you know something, we never really know because they never gave his ideas a chance to even get out the boat. All you know is if we have to. It seems like we are our worst enemy when it comes to a black man being up in there. I'm glad Cleo agreed with me. I don't think Rufus agreed too much with me, but that's the way I see it. They gave me a life for hell, then gave Brandon Johnson hell. What is wrong with our own people stopping us? I'm going to give you a good case in point. They wouldn't even sign off on the deal that she worked on for 2 years with ComEd to put a plant right there in West Austin. They said, oh, well, it was a done deal. Oh, well, we ready to wait to after the election, and then we'll sign off on it. No, what they really saying is, we don't want to see another feather in your hat. That's what they were saying. I blame the city council for the woes of the city, not Mayor Johnson.
All right, Frank.
I'm going to vote for him again.
Hey, thank you, my friend. I appreciate your phone call. 773-591-69 phone number. Doesn't call fine. If not, I've been pontificating all day. I'm good out of the way. But no, we will talk about this more on Monday. Is my theory on taxes? People don't mind paying taxes. They just want to get their money's worth. Which is why, ironically enough, some of your most high tax places are actually some of your best neighborhoods, some of your best schools, best roads, best infrastructure. are in, believe it or not, high tax sexual places. It's your lower tax places that kind of have the problems. I'm a firm believer people are willing to pay money if they think they're getting their money's worth. Actually, I got a good friend who's an economist. Let's see if I can get him to join us on Monday. Because he totally throws out the theory about high taxes, high tax states, low tax states, et cetera, et cetera. Because a lot of places are low taxes, but nobody wants to move there, so to speak. But to me, the question is, are you getting your money's worth when it comes to schools, when it comes to police, fire, roads, et cetera? If you're not, I don't blame you guys leaving and going somewhere else. So we'll have that discussion on Monday's show. Appreciate you guys just sitting back listening and letting me pontificate. Like I say, I got a ton of material. I haven't done this in a while. So we're more than happy to talk and chat. So with that said, you folks be good. It's been Abdul in for Rufus Williams this morning. And we'll be back on Monday. You guys take care. Love you to death. Love me more. Bye-bye.
Hazy and smoke-filled skies once again in Chicago on this Friday, July 17th, 2026. I'm in Illinois, and in the headlines, in about 2 hours from now, hundreds will say a final farewell to businessman George E. Johnson. An air quality alert remains in our area today, and a boil order is in effect in Cicero. National news from the Black Information Network is next, right here on the station that is Black and proud. 1690 AM WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's 9 o'clock.